All right, so today let's talk about the boy of boys, the GOAT, Garou, especially, because he had that huge moment in chapter 129, just a huge chapter in general. And we finally got to see the current version of him in action, because in the second part of chapter 126, we kind of had that cliffhanger ending where he was grabbing Darkshine's fist and we saw him undergo his new form. But now that we see it in action, want to talk about it, want to go over it, explain what's happening, and then talk about where this is headed, because we definitely have some clues as to what's going on at the end of chapter 129, and we'll get into that. So this version of Garou I want to call Peak Red Garou. Yeah, I know it's kind of a mouthful, but we kind of have to use like these different community names to distinguish the different variations of this character because there are so many of them. So last year I started calling him Red Garou because I felt that was just a better term rather than when I was originally calling him, which was kind of spoilery. And like I said, it denotes the different versions because, originally we had Hero Hunter Garou, and we call him that to basically denote his base form, I guess, and also, gives us a frame of reference of the time span in the series that character partook in. And then once he was fighting Genos, during that fight, he started to go into monsterization. His right eye became red. He mixed the blood from his hands into his hair. And we call that Red Garou because that is certainly the paradigm shift for Garou's character in the series, as well as just him becoming more powerful and his transformations and occurring and all of that stuff. So then after that, we go to Red Garou 1, Red Garou 2. I talk about all of this in my Garou forms video explained. And I feel that we have come to the point of where we can probably call this version of Garou the peak of his redness. So let's try to break him down the best we can. So we got to this point, like I said, in the end of chapter 126, or the second half of that chapter, because he's kind of, I don't know, Red Garou 2 or whatever we decided to call him, Red Garou 3 or something, I don't know. But it's like post-Orochi Garou fighting Darkshine, post-Feral Garou as well. He still only has one red eye, and he's, still in that, mid-high dragon level of power range. And of course, we're going to talk about how strong this version of Garou is in this video. I talked about it in my chapter review, but we'll just reiterate it in this one. So anyway, he is aesthetically changed, obviously, portions of his costume or his shirt, his outfit, whatever he's wearing, has torn off from the impact of him catching the Super Ally Bazooka. So he has this spiral design because it's his outfit adhering to his body. It's like becoming a part of his biology almost due to the monsterization that's happening to him. So when he was fighting Orochi, he got straight up stabbed in the stomach by one of Orochi's horns. And Murata said that, later on it's going to collect black matter from the air and shut close. Well, that may or may not have happened because we didn't see it. It kind of happened off panel. But we saw that after Orochi knocked him out, he was hung up in, I don't know, the dungeon part of the Monster Association. And then when Puri Puri Prisoner came and discovered him, we saw that he had definitely healed. There was no longer a big gaping hole in his friggin' stomach. And it turns out that he just used the clothes that he was wearing along with whatever supernatural properties that come with the regeneration that you get from monsterization to heal himself. And this was first discovered after his encounter with Royal Ripper and Bug God, because he got hacked up by Royal Ripper to the point of where Royal Ripper straight up thought that he took Garou out. But then it was revealed that, so he woke up from that, he survived it, he gained regeneration, going deeper into the monsterization power set, but then he was also my clothes are sticking to me. So the clothes was aiding in his healing process, and it still is happening further to this day. It just happens to make this cool little aesthetic pattern on him. And it's also finally come to the point of where both Garou's eyes are red now. And we know they're red because Murata made a comment on this, because somebody on Twitter asked him, what's the color of his skin? And Murata said he hasn't decided yet, but he thinks the skin is going to be whitish, and the eyes are going to be red, probably. And the hair is probably still going to be red as well. I mean, it's so cool the way that it looks. So yeah, we've got white skin on Garou, but like I said, the costume is adhering to his skin, so it's almost a part of his biology now. Both eyes are red, pupils maybe yellow. That's the way that they look in the anime. And then the hair, so that's red as well, but we see that there's streaks in it now. Now, Murata said that they're not black, but I'm not entirely sure if this translation is 100% accurate, or if he's talking about the hair entirely not being black, or it just appears that like most of it's red and then he has like black streaks going through it. And also, if you check out this awesome color art from Ningen117 on Reddit. I love this guy's work. He's very talented. He kind of went in the same direction that I was thinking, and probably most of us, as to where, like, yeah, he has red with the black streaks in it. And I'll explain later on in the video what's going on with this black stuff. But aside from that, his hair, aside from the color, has also changed. It's become more spiky now, more uniform than what it typically was when we saw, like, you know, the classic Garou haircut where it's like, I don't know, like 2 horns almost made of hair. But now it's, like I said, more uniform, more spiky. So now let's just go over how powerful he is. And like I said, I talked about this in my chapter 129 review, but I'll just reiterate it here. So he's just through and through a high dragon right now very easily. We can see this because he's pushing Darkshine to 100% of his strength, power, abilities in this chapter. It is confirmed. So we know for sure that he's a high dragon because Darkshine also used 100% of his abilities to take on Carnage Mode, Carnage Kabuto in the VGS, and it took him about 15 minutes to defeat him. So if we're comparing that to Garou right here, we can see that Garou is clearly stronger than Carnage Kabuto and clearly stronger than Darkshine here, but also, like I said, you know, overall in the power scale, probably not statically stronger than Darkshine, although it remains to be seen, but also like a good indication here, the difference just between like a few minutes in this fight is when we see like the feral Garou taking on Darkshine at the beginning of their fight. He's pretty darn fast there, right? He's like spinning around him, like after images, looking like something out of Sonic was capable of doing, and Darkshine's able to counter him. But then when we come to peak Red Garou, he's so fast that Darkshine can't really do anything. Like he can't like anticipate his strikes or anything like that. So that's just showing you that he's come a very long way. And I estimate that at this point in the manga, he might be the strongest dragon without going into like above territory possibly. All right, so now I want to touch on what happens at the end of this chapter with Garou, and I completely missed out on this in the original chapter review. I probably should have took more time with reading over the chapter before I decided to go into that final sequence, because I glanced over this. I missed it completely. It's my bad. I should have been better with it, but I equated Garou like falling over here in the original review that I made to Tatsumaki's doing, and that is just not the case here. This is Garou struggling with going deeper into monsterization here, because, you know, as we saw, he was, you know, going against Darkshine. He had him down for the count, and then he realized that, oh, I'm straight up bullying him. He was kind of losing himself, kind of losing his humanity, obviously, because that's one of the side effects of going into monsterization as well. And we see that, like, right after that whole thing happens, he starts, you know, like, spazzing out, and we see, I guess, his costume, like, creeping up to his face, kind of like, you know, like a symbiote from Spider-Man or something like that. And he, you know, he falls to his knees trying to fight it, but he's, like, losing control. Like, he's losing his pupils at this point. He's just struggling. He's going deeper, like I said, into the monsterization. So in order to go further into this, I'm going to have to go into webcomic spoilers. So if you don't want to know what's going to happen, I suggest you check out now. All right. So I think we all pretty much know what's happening here. I mean, if you have read the webcomic, you already knew what was going to happen, but I like the way that this is playing out. So this is like a little preview of Awakened Garou at this point. We're seeing, like, okay, so it's starting to begin right now. This is something that we didn't necessarily see in the webcomic. I mean, all of Garou's little subtle transformations and progressions and stuff like this didn't really happen the way that it did in the webcomic, the way that it does in the manga, obviously, because it originally kind of just happened. Like when he was fighting Golden S, during the fight, it's implied that Golden S just pushed him the furthest that he's ever been pushed, and his body had to acclimate to it, and the monsterization completely took over, and he became Awakened Garou. You can also take it as his limiter removing, There's so much to talk about with that. I made an entire video on Awakened Garou and the limiter and all that stuff, so check out Awakened Garou Explained if you would like more info on that. But I just think it's pretty cool here because we're seeing that, like, okay, so his costume is definitely going to make up the aesthetic that he has for that. And we're probably going to see him struggling more and more throughout the chapters that are going to be released after this point. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there that I'm not a smart man. I'm definitely an idiot, and I'm going to misinterpret things from time to time. But I will try to rectify them as soon as I can. But if you like this video, guys, please give it a like. Let me know what you think about peak pre-woke Garou in the comments. I also have a Patreon, gives you access to a weekly Q&A, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.